The Latin alphabet's fourth letter is heating up, so it's time to talk about some HOTD. This is just a quick, spoiler-free first impressions video. I'm working on something more substantial for later in the week. Alright, so the long-awaited prequel to Game of Thrones is finally here. After so much anticipation, so much hype, so many people claiming it's gonna be a Season 8-esque train wreck, an hour of show is here for us to judge. And judge we shall. Presumably you're here for my opinion on Heirs of the Dragon, so I'll cut to the chase. What did I think of the House of the Dragon premiere? I thought it completely blew donkey balls. This thing sucks a big nut. It wasn't nice to my friends, and I'm joking, I genuinely enjoyed it, and I think it's pretty great. I'm sorry for baiting you like that, it's just really fun. So this is only the first episode, and we can't base too strong an opinion of the show off just that, but at this point, House of the Dragon gets my recommendation. I'm gonna be a bit brave and say that in a vacuum, at this point unsure of what's to come from this show, this is the best piece of official A Song of Ice and Fire related media released since like 2016. That might just be how fresh the setting and the characters feel, but honestly, I don't think it's recency bias. I was just as prepared to hate this as anyone else might have been, but no, it's just a really decent start to the show, which is really weird to say. It's uncanny to be describing a currently releasing Game of Thrones show as good or even competent, which this is. But what specifically do I like about it? Well, lots. It's so refreshing to step back into this world when there's so much thought, effort, presence, and detail to all of the trappings. Keep an eye out for house banners in particular. This King's Landing feels more vibrant, colourful, and alive than I think it ever did on Game of Thrones, which bodes well as it will be the primary setting for much of this season at least. The CGI looks great, the dragons in motion are so cool, and the Iron Throne in particular is a clever compromise between what was in Game of Thrones and what's in the books. Most of all, what impressed me about this episode was how fluidly, naturally, and quickly it introduced the most important characters and their relationships to one another, especially Viserys, Daemon, and Otto. I thought I should point out too that Alicent is characterized quite strongly and consistently too. On the subject of characters, I want to say that Paddy Considine completely stole the show. This guy is on another level. I was pretty indifferent to Viserys in the book, but I care so much about this guy. There are two moments in this pilot episode that had me gut-wrenched for Viserys, and it's not just because he shares my one true love's name. Considine and the writers have done such a wonderful job elevating this character and this story from a history book into an emotional human drama. You have no idea how warm it makes me feel to say that about this franchise. Finally, I'm excited about a Game of Thrones property. It's been so long. I haven't watched all of Doctor Who, so I don't get the heebie-jeebies from Matt Smith as the dangerous Cur Prince Daemon. I can understand if that would turn you off of this portrayal, but honestly, I think he's done a good job. We already knew he had range. I just hope he doesn't get stuck typecast as a royal incest asshole for the rest of his career. Too soon? Probably. Anyway, his High Valyrian is pretty convincing too, and I want to adopt Caraxes. Rhys Ifans, or however you say it, is also great as Otto Hightower. I think he's got it down pat. There's a lot to get through this season, so this episode is quite packed. They've condensed events from the book into one neat little package, and I think it's worked pretty fantastically, except for a few minor quibbles. The pacing of the episode excels at one particular point where they intercut two simultaneous events, but other than that, I like how even with all the stuff going on, they still leave enough time for the story to breathe. I never felt like I was being artificially rushed along. It might be a bit too busy for people who haven't read the book to keep up with, so I'd suggest watching an intro video or something. I'd recommend mine or The Blue Guys, or just pay real close attention and don't feel bad about having to rewind a bit. There's very little empty dialogue in here, it's mostly very efficient writing, so pay attention to it. That said, the thing's not flawless. I'm particularly disappointed in the lack of an original opening credit sequence. I was really looking forward to analysing a brand new Javadi theme tune, but it seems that when tasked with somehow outdoing the Game of Thrones credits, their response was to simply not even try, and frankly, fair enough. I would have appreciated some more character themes, but maybe we'll see that stuff evolve as the season goes on. As for things in the episode that caught my ire, the general presence of a couple of characters in King's Landing sort of threw me off, like it didn't add up to me why these people were there, and there's a big piece of lore discussed at the end of the episode that I think has some issues. Big spoilers for that stuff though, so I'll hold on to it for another video. So yeah, sorry if you were hoping for a train wreck. It's great. I hope it stays that way. More importantly, I hope I can figure out a way to make some memes out of it. This episode gets 3 smiling glimbos out of 1. Though I really didn't like watching that dude get his dick chopped off.